Hi, everyone. I'm Michael Bruce, CMO at Agent Moves, and welcome to our Good to Great series. We're all about sharing the amazing stories of top realtors and how they got there so we can help make more realtors great. Let's jump in with our guest today. I'd like you to meet Lisa Patterson. Say hello to Lisa. I like to start with some things that are not real estate related. And this is certainly the furthest thing from real estate related. So, something really unique about Lisa, she and I believe her husband, I don't know if they were married at the time, went overseas to teach, which I think is completely fascinating. And her interests are heavily in travel, history, people. So it makes sense, but love to hear about being overseas and where you were overseas and who you were teaching, I guess, English as a second language. But love to hear about it. Then we'll talk about real estate.
I got my teaching degree. I looked for opportunities. The first one was I was the Seattle Sister City exchange teacher to Kobe, Japan, right after the earthquake. And in that case, we're in Japanese junior high school, being sort of the English speaker in residence, which was really fun.
Wow.
And after that, I applied to go to the different international schools. Most business centers or capital cities have schools for their diplomats and their business community. So, really diverse schools. And in those schools, you actually just teach, standard fifth grade, ninth grade. Everything's imported, including the teachers, the textbooks. And so it was really fun. Saw the world that way, lived in, gosh, I think 7 different countries. Yeah, so the longest was Kuwait. We were in Kuwait for 5.5 years. It was fabulous. Yeah, so Japan, Kuwait, Kazakhstan, which was very exotic and different, and Slovakia was lovely, and then Peru before we decided to come home.
Wow, what amazing, people hear those words, right? But being able to actually visit those locations, just absolutely amazing experience. I happen to spend a lot of time in Japan, so I know that area and Singapore, but if you haven't, I mean, it's just an amazing
It's
experience. So,
it's wonderful to immerse yourself in another culture and just see how people live day to day, not just, a famous site or a famous restaurant, but to actually just be on the ground with folks. It's just amazing. And I've remained in contact with so many of them over the years.
oh, that's
Yeah,
so lovely. Yeah, that's what a great, I mean, it's just an experience of a lifetime, right?
yeah,
And then
absolutely.
it brought you to Idaho,
It did.
right?
It did. I came back sort of to my roots. I went to college about 30 miles from Coeur d'Alene. Used to spend a lot of time here at our beautiful lake and little quaint downtown and restaurants and bars. And after the kids were raised, it just seemed like a lovely place to land. So
Absolutely
here we are.
beautiful. Yeah, that's
Here we
absolutely
are.
beautiful. Great. And now it's a journey into real estate.
It is. It is. Actually, my journey into real estate started when we headed to Japan. I needed to rent out my condo. I couldn't make a payment. So I was the accidental landlord.
Wow.
And that's kind of where it all started. Um, and here I am, 30
Yeah.
years later.
Yeah, so talk about the beginning stages, because this is kind of unique to other agents that we've been interviewing, right? That have been selling for 7, 10, 20 years. Okay.
Right.
You've been in this since the late 90s, as you told me, right? More as like an investor at how you got started, but for a lot of years. So talk about that, because I think there are some, things that you watched, maybe pitfalls others can avoid, by learning from how you were able to address this and then actually got your license later and now, really, I guess, all in on the real estate side. So talk about the early days.
Well, there's a lot of ways to do real estate. There's a lot of ways to be successful. And I think what's really important is that you pick what works for you and your risk level. For me, it was house hacking. So I started out with a condo that I could barely get in, that I had to do sweat equity with, and flipped it into a rental. And I kept going. The next one was a duplex. My uncle, he was a union truck driver, married to a grocery checker, and they had more money than anyone else I knew, including my dad's executive friends. And I couldn't figure it out. And one day I said, Uncle Jack, how did you do this? And he said, Kid, buy a duplex and live in the crappy half. Huh. And I followed that advice. And so I bought the duplex. I lived in the crappy half. I fixed it up. I turned both sides into a rental. I pulled some money out to buy a single family home for myself, but I just kept going. And I knew that it was going to be a long term play. And one of the things is growing up, I think we all were told, oh, Social Security is never going to be there for us. And well, I don't know about that. But what I did know is when I was overseas, I wasn't paying American taxes and I wasn't paying into Social Security for 15 years. And so I needed a solid retirement plan and I needed independent, income stream. And rentals were going to do that for me. And so little by little, build up those, down payments and get in there, get good solid tenants in there, good property management, don't overcharge so that they're moving out all the time. And that's just really where we got started. And so eventually, COVID, we had to change our portfolio a little bit. We had to make some adjustments. And I was giving all kinds of people advice. People would always say, hey, I want a rental. Tell me about that. And I would almost practically teach a little seminar. I would analyze deals. I'd run numbers for people all the time. I'd set them up with a realtor. I'd find them a realtor. And I never knew that if I had been licensed, I could be getting referral fees for this. It was just a natural part of what I did. It was fun. And so, towards, I guess, in the middle of COVID, when I was doing all these personal real estate transactions, I think in 2020, I did a total of 21 personal real estate transactions to readjust my portfolio. And holy cow, I can get referrals. This is amazing. All these friends I'm analyzing deals for, wow, this can be a professional piece of business for me. So I just decided to dive in and do that.
So
So
was all the rentals were the rental business in Idaho? Because I know I think you said you were from Washington.
no, they were not. Originally, we sold our rentals. We had some in a historic district in New Orleans that we sold that was a little bit difficult to manage because of that. I would never advise you buying that in a historic district unless you really know what you're doing. We had some things in a small town in Washington state, and then we had other things in Washington state. And during COVID, it got very difficult to be a landlord in Washington state. I went to all the usual places. I talked to a lot of my friends, and I actually ended up flipping my real estate portfolio to Oklahoma. It had the best return, even with the state taxes, all things considered. Oklahoma was going to be the best for what we had going on, and we got it done during COVID. It was pretty exciting.
Wow.
But yeah,
Wow.
so now I have wonderful property management. I have everything set up and I've graduated so that I don't have to get those calls late at night when something goes the wire. So
Oh, excellent.
good place to be.
Wow,
Good place.
excellent. So now let's talk about today, today,
Yes.
2021-ish or so. I think you said, got into Idaho, got
Yes.
your license. So now it's kind of like starting over in a sense, right? You're in a new area, don't know people. Do you have family there, or did you just not know anyone?
We had a couple of friends. So Coeur d'Alene is a bedroom community of Spokane, Washington. And I have a huge sphere in Spokane, but the markets are vastly different. The prices are vastly different. This is more of a resort community with a lake. And during COVID, it was hopping over here because it was fully open. And so the market really shot off. So I have a nearby sphere that can recommend me that I can find them a realtor on the Washington side where I've chosen not to get licensed at this time. But really, I had to start over with just a couple friends that lived on this side of the state line. And so I really had to dive into social media and networking, boots on the ground, the old fashioned way.
So let's talk about that a bit, which is, I mean, really interesting forget about whether experienced realtors selling, you're experienced with, all of the rentals, the whole industry segment itself. And here you are kind of reinventing yourself in a new community, right? So
100%.
yeah, let's talk about that. Tell us about what you're doing in the local community because this relates to anyone, right? Any experienced agent could all of a sudden it's a life-changing event. They need to move to another area, right? And they may have had this amazing business built, and now you're away from it. And yeah, you can get referrals from your sphere, but you are like completely newbie now.
Right. And it's really one of the legs of your business needs to be that referral business and needs to be courting those high school friends that are still, 400 miles away, and every realtor that I found that networking with other realtors is so important while you're building locally. You can't give that other piece up. And I've gotten a lot of referral business, probably 30% of the work that I've had is through that referral business that I know through other realtors. Even realtors I went to high school with, I found we've made our own little club
No, that's
and
great.
we're spread out all over, which is fantastic. But here locally, networking has been so important. I've joined multiple networking groups. I think it's important to find a class to go to once a week. It's important to find a place to volunteer one day a week. And if it's things that you can find that you're passionate about, it's better. I'm still finding some of those things because I'm a people person more than a hobby person. But as someone that has those hobbies that they can really get into, and find an outlet for them to draw business, you just need consistency, absolute consistency. And I fail sometimes. I was getting my nails done at the same place every 2 weeks for 2.5 years. And I decided I don't need to do that anymore. That's just vanity. I've been gardening a lot. I'm not going to do that anymore. And I took about 8 months off. And when I was like, nope, I want to feel pretty again, guess what? He bought a house from someone else. Right.
Wow.
So just making the decision to find the places that are going to be part of your routine. Pick a coffee shop, pick a nail salon, pick a hairstylist, find a doctor, a chiropractor, whatever it is, a gym, and make that life, pretend that you've always done it that way and just show up. Because if you're friendly and you have that realtor personality that most of us do, people are going to be drawn to you in those places. But if you're not the gal that sits down and they go, an Arnold Palmer and a chicken Caesar, that's me. And then they start introducing you to other people in your favorite restaurant. But if you start out that way, I think you'll have more success.
Yeah. Was a great advice. And I think the story is really quite amazing, right? To think about years of getting your nails done at one place, and then you're only 8 months. Obviously, the person knew you were a realtor. You're in there, right? That you always were doing your thing, right? And then only 8 months from then, you're not there. They forgot about you,
He had my business cards up near the cash register, but I wasn't there when he needed me,
and you weren't
right?
consistently communicating with him. You were leaving those all of this to face. That was your way, right?
Right. And so, it's one part of it to do that. But in a new town, that would be my advice to someone, is to find ways to be plugged in. And sometimes it's easy to be slightly disappointed because you'll volunteer for something and you can't wear your name tag, you can't wear your swag, you can't do all the things, but you realize that you're becoming recognized. Last October, I volunteered for the Museum of North Idaho to be one of their docents at it was a haunted cemetery tour because I love history and you have to
Right.
tell these Wild West stories at the tombstone, right? And so I was dressed up in the whole outfit and everything else. And I'm like, oh, wow, this isn't exactly lead gen, is it? But I ran into people that said, hey, you were that gal at the cemetery tour. Wasn't that creepy? It was fun. So you just have to build a life around what you're trying to do and then just go about it.
Yeah. Another great little point that you're making there is, because again, I talk to so many agents and you do look for a niche, right? Like you were saying, yours is just helping people, is like you're a people person where, others could be big university you went to, your alma mater, you're a skier, you're a runner, right? There are huge Facebook groups for all of these things, right? To start doing your networking and join your story. Again, a great one for others to listen to. You're not, like you said, you're not that kind of person. You're not a hobby person. You're a people person, right? So you found your niches, volunteering, all of these other ways to network. But in a sense, that's kind of like your hobby.
Yeah, it is. It truly is. I have to accept that about myself. I'll never knit. I'll never, Yeah, but I'll go clean up a hiking trail more than I'll want to hike, if that
Interesting.
makes sense. Like,
Yeah.
oh, let's do something, right? So, yeah, just make a list, show up, and then find your people. You may join a club. I've joined a couple clubs that they just didn't feel right for me, and that was okay. But I had to immediately find something else because you just have to, it's just time on task over time,
Yeah.
right?
Yep. Exactly. So now what's the plan? 2025, you're going to kill it,
2025.
right? You're going to get going
Of
here.
course, I'm going to kill it.
What are you going to do to
So
kill it?
I'm going to kill it with lots of social media because I feel like I have a story and things to get out there into the world. Like I'm confident with that. I don't exactly have my message yet, but I am in my heart. I know that I have something that needs to get out there. I'm going to kill it with open houses because I do best in front of people. So those are the biggest, that's where I found the success. So I'm just going to double down.
Excellent. Excellent.
I'm
Yeah, I think
absolutely going to double down.
excellent. Yeah, the open houses I do find with agents, it's a great way to build a sphere. You meet the people, right? You touch whatever it could be, from a few to dozens, and now you have them in your database and be able to communicate to them. And I think,
Absolutely. The
right?
other thing that I am looking into is one of my niches that I'm looking for. I really enjoy older people. And so I'm looking to connect more with seniors and help seniors more. I've had 4 listing appointments so far in January. They've all been with people that are downsizing into senior apartments or assisted living. And, you know, so I have a heart for them and I'm trying to figure out how to connect. And I can connect with the older person, but my challenge this year is to figure out how to connect with their children who are generally making that decision when they've come to that point.
Yeah, yeah. And
And
then
that,
the children go into your sphere,
right.
and you have a,
Yeah, the parent
right?
is my sphere. I meet them out and about. I talk
Yeah,
to them. They like me.
sure.
They're drawn to me. But then, their son Joey is going to be the one that's going to be dealing with the house because they're overwhelmed. So I need to find a way to market that out so that I can connect with the kids that are helping their parents. Because I've done it 3, 4 times now on a personal level. And so it's something that I feel I can really help people with and alleviate that stress.
Excellent, excellent. All right, I love this. I mean, this was really some great nuggets of information. Again, you're unique in every individual's unique, but like you're just unique in real estate, in having been involved for over 20 years, but licensed for like 3 or 4. And again, rebuilding, building a new career at this point in a new town. But your experiences, what's driving this and what's going to make you successful and kill it.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping for. It's I don't know, it just makes me happy. I get up every day to go to the office and I'm happy. It's my happy place.
It's awesome.
Yeah, I just meet all kinds of great people and they have wonderful stories and it feeds me.
Good. It's great, Lisa. Love it. Love the story. And everyone watching, please follow Lisa on social media and follow Agent Moves. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. And until the next interview, thank you again, Lisa, so much. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.